What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another repaint video here on the channel. And today we're going to be taking on the third figure in the Fierce Force wave, and that is the Sauropelta. So the idea I had for this one was to dig deep into the Hasbro Chaos Effect line, and we're going to be doing a paint deco of the unreleased Sauropelta. I wrote that down and phonetic spelled it on a piece of paper. Sauropelta. So this guy was never released. It has this one image from a Toy Fair magazine back in like 1998 or something like that. But really cool deco. Kind of goes in theme with the recent ones that I've repainted here. So we have the Raptor that I've done, and I also just did the Masiacosaurus here. So real wild, kind of extreme paint decos, and the paint apps on that Sauropelta look really cool, really wild, and really vibrant. I think it would fit really well with this particular figure. So this is the third repaint. Obviously there was one more we're going to do next week, and we're going to be taking on the Gallimimus here, and I've got a really fun one in mind for that, so we're going to have some fun with this little dude here. But today we're going to focus on the Sauropelta. So I'm going to pop this guy out of the box and start slinging some paint. So for those of you who are painting along with me, I'm going to make this really easy for you guys. So this whole entire repaint is going to consist of 4 primary colors right here. This is all I'm going to use on this figure, and these are all basic apple barrel acrylic paints you can get. So we're going to be using like a dark pavement gray, some khaki, some red, and some black. So just 4 basic colors is all you're going to need to achieve this cool repaint. So first off, we're going to lay down the gray skin tone on the lower part of the figure. We're going to get that done. And I've got some of the gray paint out here on my wet palette, and thinning it with a little bit of water to help with flow and to cut down on the chalkiness of, you know, the matte paints and stuff like that. Because if you don't thin those matte paints, they will betray you, and your whole entire paint deco will just be chalky looking, and it'll look weird. So you got to make sure that you keep those paints thin, you know. So I'm just applying a few coats of this gray paint on the figure. I probably did about 2 to 3 coats on this just to get really nice coverage on it. I wanted to make sure that it was going to be, you know, a nice solid base coat of paint on here, and that way nothing scratches off or anything. So the next step is going to be painting the shell part on top, and we're going to be using the khaki for that. And I've got that again on the wet palette, thinned down with some water, and we're going to start going in and painting all of the little tan khaki areas. You know, I'm trying to be relatively careful around the edges, but you know, if you're a shaky Jake and you got some shaky hands, and you know, you get some splatter on certain areas, it's really no big deal. Since we're using, you know, just straight colors, you can go back in and cut in and clean up, do, you know, cleanup work and stuff like that. So it's not too big of a deal. So the shell is done, looking great, looking clean, really nice smooth paint apps so far. I'm digging it. You know, I think I did about 3 coats again on the shell here. So now we're going to move on to the red and black deco on this guy. Really straightforward here, since this sculpt is not essentially the same species as the old, you know, Hasbro one. It's, you know, shaped differently, so we're going to have to kind of play around the spikes on the top part of this figure here. So we're going to do something sort of capture the spirit of the unreleased Chaos figure, you know, but just sort of working with what we got here on the sculpt. So I'm going to try and do the head part, you know, very similar, but around the spikes I'm just going to kind of play around with it and work around them, you know, and try to get these stripes along the shell section there. So I've got the red paint again on the wet palette. The wet palette is going to be your best friend for repainting stuff. I will cover it in a video one day. I just need to work on it, but this is going to help your paint keep moisture in it, and it's going to keep it from drying out, and it's going to help you keep your paints thin without getting them too thin. You know, sometimes you may add a little bit of extra water in there and the paint is too runny. This kind of helps to keep a really nice consistency and give you really good flow while you're painting and stuff. And doing stuff like this, like straight lines or edges or stripes and stuff, really helps to have that paint thinned down. It gives you really clean lines and stuff, and it kind of helps you get around all these little awkward areas on the sculpt, you know. So this figure is really hard to hold just because of the way that it's shaped. So trying to paint this at all different angles and film it, have a camera in front of me at the same time is really difficult. So hopefully I'm getting into all the little areas here enough that you guys can kind of get the idea of what I'm doing. This did take a very long time to do all these stripes, so I had to speed this part up so the video wasn't 40 minutes long. But if you need to slow it down, obviously you can use the slow down button option on the video somewhere. I think it's still there. But this is pretty much it. I'm going to finish the rest off camera and then go back in with the black paint. Again, thin down, and I'm going to start edging in all of the red areas. I'm not trying to be super neat here because I will go back in after I get all the black put down, and I'm going to clean up everything as I've got some paint slop on areas that I don't want it. But my main focus right now, the goal is to get the red outlined with the black nice and clean and sharp as I can get it, and then I'll go back in afterwards and just clean everything up, and you won't even be able to tell the difference. It'll look beautiful like it's supposed to be like that. So it's a very time-consuming thing right here. Trying to work around all these little ridges and stuff is really difficult. So this one here is super easy, but also very challenging. Each repaint has its own challenge, just working with the sculpt and stuff. So down here on the tail, I actually just painted it all the way black to the tip, and then I'm going back in with the red, and I'm just going to dot inside the black line because since it was such a thin area, it was hard to get clean black lines around the red. So I just went over it with the black paint and then going back over it with the red. That seemed to work out really well. So now we're going to go in here. This is sort of all the final touches, detail work and stuff. We're going to paint all the spikes on his back, paint them black. And that's pretty straightforward. Go in, add a few face details here, pick out some of the pebbles, and then go in and paint his little tiny eyeball. This is a hold your breath moment. I'm going to make his eye black, and I'm going to put a little tiny white dot in there. So a little tiny light catch just to sort of give life to his face there. It makes him look nice and adorable. And then we're going to use the same color that we used on the shell for his toe claws down here. And the final step, this is optional, but I'm going to go in with just a very light gray, and I want to dry brush lightly all over the dark gray areas just to sort of bring out the sculpt a little bit in here and kind of make all those little areas pop on him. Of course, this is an optional step. You don't have to do it if you don't want to, but it just kind of helps to bring out all the highlights in the sculpt on his body. So this is pretty much it. I'm going to go ahead and seal him up with some varnish, and we'll do a little side-by-side comparison with the other two Sauropelta figures that have come out, and you can just kind of see the before and after, what they look like. And I'm really happy with the way this turned out. He looks so cool. Like, I love the wild, vibrant vibe on this one right here, kind of like a little desert Sauropelta or something. I don't know. We're just kind of having fun here and getting crazy, but that's going to do it for me for this video. I appreciate you all sticking around and watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video and you found the information provided useful and it has helped inspire your next repaint. If it has, remember to tag me over on Instagram at the Jurassic Park compound, because I always love to see what you guys can come up with. For more Jurassic related content, you know where to find me. Links will be in the description box below. You guys take care, and I'll see you around the compound.